Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. I'm Joni Padduck, and I'm going to be your worship associate this morning. It is my absolute joy to welcome back Reverend Barbara Fast. As many of you know, and for the benefit of the newer members, friends, and visitors, Reverend Barbara served this congregation as our developmental minister from 2018 to 2021. She led us through the church shutdown due to COVID in March 2020 and led a team of creative, smart, and talented people who figured out how to stay connected while not being together. We went from Vicki, is Vicki here? I see Diane. Vicki having a little iPhone on a stand here to what you see now. So it was a pretty remarkable journey. Let's see. The other thing that we enhanced was streaming it, well, it was done at that time, streaming it home to people that are at home or just unable to be here with us in the sanctuary in the morning. She retired to spend more time with her family, her kids and grandkids, and she's flying all over the country to see them. And we happened to snag her for a day in the midst of her travels to be with us this morning. So we're grateful to have you with us, Reverend Barbara. Thanks. Now, before we begin, please take a moment to check your cell phones and make sure they're on silent. And here, as we do every week, we acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded lands of the Agua Caliente band of the Cahuilla people. We commit to grow in our understanding and relationship with this land and with the people who inhabited it and nurtured it before our arrival. We want you to know that we strive to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every being, and that you are welcome no matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, your age or your size, whether you're rich or poor. We welcome people of all races, religions, and cultures. We welcome you wherever you come from and whoever you love. We welcome all those who will learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. Our goal here is to build a community centered in justice, compassion, and love. We're glad you're with us this morning, whether you're here in the sanctuary or to those at home. We're grateful for your presence. Okay. If you'd like to learn more about us or our programming, please contact Pam in our office at admin, ADMIN, @uucod.org. Or you can visit the website, uucod.org. And now please join us as Reverend Barbara rings our Tibetan bowl and we listen to the fabulous Joel Baker play our music for centering to begin our service.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I don't want to, let me just start. My heart's very full. So this is a lost and found ad that I read over 20 years ago. And I wanted to, 25 years ago. I wanted to share it with you for our opening words. Lost cat, deaf, half a tail, blind in one eye, 3 legs, goes by the name Lucky, which is just another word for grace. It feels different to share that now at the age I am than at 50 years old, way back when. I'm a bit more like that cat. 2 titanium hips, an eye that got fixed, and other things moving along. I don't know. You may have more replaced parts than I do, or less. It's been 3 years since I was here to preach a sermon, a full service in this pulpit. And when I retired, you graced my leaving. There's even a bench outside. And we were in the midst of the COVID epidemic. Vaccinations had rolled out just a few months earlier. And you were graced by Reverend Ian's ministry here. He is so able and joyful to be here with you, and you were so very wise to call him as your minister last year. Whether it's 25 years or 3 years or just this past season, in every life, some things are lost and some things are found. Some dear ones are lost, and some new place that they live within us is found. Life is a never-ending tidal moon pull of lost and found. All this helloing and goodbying, this ebb and grow and flow. I find that I am more tenderly penetrated by endings, those simple goodbyes. And I was reminded by a dear friend, also beginnings. Walking through a door into a smiling welcome unanticipated, and the never before and never again present moment, tender. So good morning, dear friends. And we begin in gratitude. Joni, Bill, Marty, Sue, Linda, of course, Reverend Ian, Michael. Thank you for guiding me in this service as I don't know all the ins and outs. We're going to touch on a few times of national title shifts, what was found and lost, found again, our shared national history, and how in this summer the historical, national, and personal, as it is said, has been intersecting for me. It's a little more personal than I often share, but now I'm a member. And I want to introduce our first hymn, This Little Light of Mine. It's an anthem, truly, for Fannie Lou Hamer, the relentless African-American activist for voting rights. Please stand as you are able as we sing this. I think it's going to be up there, yes. Fun. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, everyone. And now we are going to light our chalice. Reverend Barbara will light it for us. And please join us with the words that are up on the screen. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship.
This is our aspiration. And now I'd like to invite Stuart Lee up to light our BioPOC candles, and if you could join me again with the words on the screen. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey together towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our principles so that justice, dignity, and equity prevail. And Reverend Barbara has asked me to share with you this reading, which was excerpted from The Measure of My Days by Florida Scott Maxwell. Born in 1883, she worked for women's suffrage, wrote, went on to study under Carl Jung, practiced psychology in Scotland. Measure of My Days was published in 1968 when she was 85. She lived to be 96. And it goes like this. Age is a desert of time, hours, days, weeks, years perhaps, with little to do. So one has ample time to face everything one has had, been, and done. Gather them all in, the things that came from outside and those from inside. We have time at last to make them truly ours. You only need claim the events of your life to make yourself yours. When you truly possess all that you have been and done, which may take some time, you are fierce with reality. When at last age has assembled you together, will it not be easy to let it all go? Lived, balanced, over? Love opens double gates on suffering. The pain of losing good is the measure of its goodness. Parting is impoverishment. Reason gives no solace. The going away of someone loved is laceration. But courage, love, understanding, pity, sensitivity, all our glories almost break us. Thank you for your generosity this morning. We really appreciate it to help the good works of this church.
I'm going to invite us as we hold all that is our life, spoken and unspoken. Love and all our glories almost break us, but they also save us. And we are all fierce and tender beings. With that sense of appreciation, I'm going to invite us into some movement. Now, it's a bit of Tai Chi that I learned standing up, but you are sitting there. We're going to be moving our arms a little bit. If you have shoulders that are not a little like that cat Lucky, take care. Modify your gestures a little, and I'll just talk us through once as we practice and then once as we go along. If you wish to stand, you may. If you wish to scoot over a seat and there's room, you may. I don't want to disrupt the whole service for this. But it is a morning practice. And while I didn't write it down, I did practice it a few times, but it's been a few years. It'll be modified according to my memory. So please join with me as we first gather our energy for the day. And we scoop up some here, and we scoop up there, or we scoop here, and we bring it towards us and hold it. You've done this, I'm sure. We hold it and feel the energy, and maybe your palms warm up. And then when you're ready, you let it go, and it goes up to the sky. Watch those shoulders. And then it falls upon you and blesses you. Maybe you feel this like rain. And then you grow green. Now, this is what you can't do with your neighbor here, but maybe you just go up your arms or here, right? And then you're here, and you're alive, and you're tall, and you're grounded, and you go back and you look over your life and where you are, inner and outer, and you bring it forward. And you look this side, 360. You bring it forward. How am I? My mind, my body, how is everything? And then you look in your hands and you hold it, all that is your life so far. Then you let it go and you rise like an eagle and you spread your wings and you fly. And then you bring them forward here. And there's the tiger in front of you. Your next moment's the day, and you embrace it. Bring it to your heart. So let's do that. I'll be a little more quiet this time. And if you want, you can let your eyes rest, or you can look out and amongst all of us who are gathered here, sharing this precious time together. So first, let's gather our energy with our breath. When it's here, go out into the world. And it falls, refreshing, blessing, filling. And with another breath, we grow green and alive and grounded. And then we reach back, bring it forward. Reach back, bring it forward, and gaze upon it with loving kindness. And then satisfied, let it go. Take off, brace the sun, and come again to what is next, and bring it to our heart. And breathe, and Joel will play us into Spirit of Life. Some dates to remember. March 3rd, 1913.
The National American Women's Suffrage Association March, the day before President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration.
August 18th, 1920.
The 19th Amendment is ratified by Tennessee, the 36th state, and it was officially certified on August 26th. It reads, "The rights of citizens shall not be denied by any state on account of sex."
August 28th, 1963.
The March for Jobs and Freedom. I have a dream. A rainbow of more than a quarter of a million people peacefully assembled before the Lincoln Memorial on the Washington Mall for equal rights and justice.
January 23rd, 1964.
The 23rd Amendment was abolished poll taxes.
July 2nd, 1964.
President Johnson signs the Civil Rights Act into law.
March 7th to March 25th, 1965.
The first march from Marion and Selma to Montgomery ended on March 7th, Bloody Sunday. On March 25th, the third attempt, thousands finished the 54-mile walk.
August 6, 1965, President Johnson signs the Voting Rights Act into law, which is considered the most effective piece of federal civil rights legislation.
But on June 25th, 2013, 48 years later, the Supreme Court in Shelby County versus Holder removed a key provision as no longer needed.
January 22nd, 1973.
Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court creates a nationwide constitutional right of privacy. Women now have the right to choose whether or not to terminate a pregnancy without undue governmental interference.
But on June 24th, 2022, in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the Supreme Court overturned Roe and eliminated a woman's constitutional right to abortion and left that decisional power to the states. Dissenting, Justices Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan wrote, "After today, young women will come of age with fewer rights than their mothers and grandmothers had. With sorrow for this court, but more for the many millions of American women who today have lost a fundamental constitutional protection, we dissent." Is this the sermon? Okay. I didn't have my order of service in front of me. It has been a summer of visiting and delighting in grandchildren for this grandmother. My granddaughters will come of age with fewer rights than were won for me and my generation. It may depend on what state these granddaughters live in, or where they may go to college or work, or if and when more rights are eroded nationally. Rights to be free from discrimination, free to love and marry, plan families, and access the full range of healthcare options. Reverend Ian's knitting metaphors apply. Each of us is knit into larger fabrics, community, nation, world, within multiple threads of history as well. As I reflect on my age, as age assembles me, I am surprised by the power of paying attention to life, feeling both fierce and very tender. So here is some seasonal reflection. These past months, our 4-year-old granddaughter has persisted in asking me, "Are you going to die, Baba?" And I say yes, and then quickly add, "but not for a long time." That hasn't been sufficient. A few weeks ago at bedtime, story time, she said, "I don't want you to die." And I thought, well, and I said, "How about if I live until you graduate high school? Is that okay?" And she paused and nodded. "Okay," she said. "Okay," I said. And after she goes to sleep, I do the math. That's 14 years from now. I'll be going on 88. I better start working at this staying alive so I can keep this promise to my granddaughter, my well-being. So staying alive for her is definitely an incentive to see her grow up. We got to go to New York City in mid-July. Jonathan and I spent 2 weeks in New York City with his daughter, my stepdaughter, and her family. Our eldest grandson generously vacated his bedroom for our stay. He was really more than okay with that. So cheerful, sleeping out on the couch and knocking on the bedroom door and waiting before coming in to get his t-shirts and shorts. He's going to college soon. And we took our high school teenage granddaughter to see Suffs, the Broadway musical by Shana Taub about the suffragist, not suffragette movement. I learned that at that play. It was a 3 p.m. matinee on July 21st. The theater was full. I'd say 60 to 70% or more were women, elders, young, old, teens, women of color, mothers, daughters, granddaughters, sisters, friends. And just before the curtain went up at 3 p.m. Sunday matinee, lots of people were looking at their phones. I opened mine to turn mine off, elbowed Jonathan to remind him to turn his off, forced my granddaughter to turn hers off. But when I got to turn off my phone, I see there is breaking news. I remind you of this date to remember, July 21st, 2024. The breaking news was that President Biden announced he was not going to seek re-election. The lights dim. I turn off my phone quickly. The theater grows quiet. The music comes up. The curtain goes up. The actors are all women, and they are marching with banners in their long white outfits with their suffrage sash across their shoulders down to their hips, and at the sight of them, the crowd in the theater roars. I had never heard anything like it. So now I am just going to be a reporter to you about what we witnessed next. I don't know how or when it started, but the theater audience started chanting. I am just the reporter. They are chanting, ka, ma, la, over and over and over again, and the roar continues, and I turned to my granddaughter, and I had to yell, "You are living history. We are witnessing history today." Finally, the play begins. It's 1913. The young upstart Alice Paul challenges Carrie Chapman Catt, the long-serving elder leader who's been working on suffrage for over 50 years, the current slogan being, "Let Mother Vote." Paul wants their buy-in for a march, and the day before the inauguration of Woodrow Wilson, they actually pull it off. Of course, setbacks, division, arguments, passion. The lawyer, a relentless advocate, Inez Milholland, rode astride Gray Wind, that white horse, as the herald of the future. Well, that was some kind of joyful gesture. And a few thousand women tried to march, but were overwhelmed by many more thousands of hostile onlookers, jeering, some assaulting the women as police watched. The NAACP newspaper, The Crisis, reported, and here I am quoting the historical language of the article, because the delegation organizers had suddenly asked the African American women to march at the back of the march. So The Crisis reported, quote, and this is 1913, "In spite of the apparent reluctance of the local suffrage committee to encourage the colored women to participate, and in spite of the conflicting rumors that were circulated, which disheartened many of the colored women from taking part. They are to be congratulated that so many of them have the courage of their convictions, and they made such an admirable showing in the first great national parade. They did march with their state delegations, respective professions, university women, and sororities. The newspaper reported that the investigative journalist and leading anti-lynching reporter and activist Ida B. Wells Barnett sought to march with her Illinois delegation, and the organizers asked her to move to the back, but she moved along Pennsylvania Avenue and joined the front of the Illinois delegation with two white allies as they passed her. So, from 1913 on, these women organized around the country, rallied, stood vigils. You probably know some of it. They were arrested, beaten, jailed, force-fed. Miss Milholland, the champion of women's rights, collapsed during a speech in Los Angeles in 1916. Her last public words were, "Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty?" A few weeks later, at age 30, she died of untreated pernicious anemia. My father's mother died of pernicious anemia when he was 8. Maybe it was the generations present in the theater, the power of the play, or the larger events of the day. Maybe it was going with my granddaughter, or the closing song, "Keep Marching." The lyric has stayed with me. Your ancestors are all the proof that you need that progress is possible, not guaranteed. Keep marching. I was crying. While in New York City, I was blessed to meet up with old friends, longtime friends and old friends. I see them at most once a year. We came of age in similar decades. And sometimes we reflect out loud about personal experiences. Times we worked in law or ministry, volunteered, raised families or not, choices made, expanded, choices avoided or limited by internal or external cultural, economic, educational, gender, class, immigrant experiences in our generation. Did we feel at ease in the world, in our skin then? Now, over coffee with a close friend, I shared a dream I'd had earlier this summer. I had walked through a doorway with a sandy-haired young male companion, a little taller than I was. And I happened, after I passed through the doorway, to put my hand on top of my head, and it came away, in the dream, with some blood on it. I was surprised. My head was bleeding. Not a lot, but I was completely unaware, and I hadn't felt anything happen, but here was a little drop of blood trickling down my face. So, clearly, I'd been injured. And I turned to my friendly, kind, slightly taller companion, and I asked him if he had seen or knew what happened to me. And as I'm telling what his reply was to my friend, I started to laugh. He said in the dream, "Well, you bumped into the ceiling." And I looked up, and I didn't see anything. But clearly, I had hit something. And then, as I'm telling her, I do laugh like you did. I got it in my dream life. It communicates concretely. Of course I didn't see it. It was glass, and that's why I didn't even know it was there. I read somewhere that the task of a human being at my age is the work of integration versus despair. Integration versus despair. And I wonder if it isn't a task for a nation, this nation, to integrate its history into the fabric of who we are now, intentionally knit ourselves together stronger, more beautiful, claiming all that has been our lives, the times we were injured or injured others, gather, appreciate, and let it go and really have a new day. Our personal histories are woven into the larger history within which we live. Coming of age for me in the 60s in New York City, it was easy to think the amazing progress toward equality and freedom was done. The earlier civil rights, voting rights, sacrifices, setbacks, successes begun. Oh, well, in the 19th century, but then in the 40s and 50s and 60s, the challenges to Jim Crow, lunch counter sit-ins, voter registration efforts, marches, boycotts, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the anti-war marches. When teenagers were dying in Vietnam, the voting age was lowered to 18. So many of us here in our lifetimes have lived this history, sometimes at more of a distance, maybe even not realizing how much was taking place around us, giving how much time it takes just to live a life. But we do keep learning, and that's one of the wonderful possibilities of living, is to keep learning. I sought to enlarge my experience, and probably I've mentioned this in my time here, to go on the Living Legacy pilgrimage bus ride through Alabama and Mississippi. And there's one again this November. So after service, if any of you are interested to learn a bit more about it, I'm happy to hang around. It was a very integrative process for me to join other UUs and other folks to go through Alabama and Mississippi, surrounded by love, because I'm a white lady easily shamed. And hadn't planned on saying that out loud. And the supportive people seeking to know the profound truths of those who marched, getting to talk to the veterans who dared to try to register to vote, who prayed, boycotted, sat down, sat in, marched and sang. Oh my goodness, we sang a lot on that bus, and survived the movement and hard won those rights, who with discipline and courage faced the violent reactions of patriarchy and racism when affronted by the challenges and those challengers seeking equality and full humanity. Well, they loved us. They were so grateful we had come to hear their stories and to know that other people in the world were with them. I have not had to face such discrimination, nothing like that, or threat or terror in my life. It was humbling, heartbreaking, inspiring, and I was so grateful to be part of it. It did change who I am and how I see the world. That universal suffrage, that right of every citizen to vote and to have their vote counted, that it's still contested, is a sorrow. That my granddaughters will come of age with fewer rights than I had is a sorrow. America, how long must women wait for liberty? As Suss, the author, wrote, keep marching, keep marching. Ida Wells Barnett was a founder of the NAACP. Carrie Chapman Catt started the League of Women Voters. Alice Paul lived to 1977, proposed the ERA in 1923, saw it passed by Congress, but it didn't get those 3/4 of the states voting for it. When we got home from the musical, there was grandson on his phone, and I mentioned that he'd be voting this year, and he said yes, he was excited. And I asked him about the coming year. We bantered a bit, and he said, in addition to classes, I'm going to focus on gratitude. I reflected on the musical with our granddaughter a bit more and asked her what one thing she'd say is most important now going forward. And she replied, it's not one thing, everything is intersectional. As I settled in on the twin mattress, I thought of my promise to my 4-year-old granddaughter in California and realized that if I do live to see her graduate high school in 14 years, I will also be able to vote in 4 more national elections, something else to live for. So in addition to keep living and keep marching, I want to quote Harvey Milk. Marching is not enough. You must vote. Thank you. So this is the introduction to Love Me Tender, because we are all such tender beings. Love opens double gates. Courage, love, understanding, pity, sensitivity, all our glories almost break us. But love also saves us, and we need to give it the space to do its healing, restorative, tenderizing work. In every life, there are dates we remember, birth dates, anniversaries, milestones. I won't be here August 28th because I'm going to see some other grandkids. But happy anniversary, John. It'll be 41 years, Tuesday. And I want to invite any of you who've had an anniversary, a birthday, a date you want to remember this summer, if you want to offer it out loud. I know friends have had a 60th anniversary just recently. The Beemans. Oh, sorry, 59. Mel, happy birthday. Anybody else, as we come together and conclude our worship, that you want to remember? 5 years, 10 years, 1 year?
33 years.
All right. Jane.
Been married 20 years.
Congratulations. To be able to marry the one you love. So then, friends, let us stand as we are able and to give it our best. Love me tender. So, closing words, is that where we are? No, we don't. Congregational news. All right. So, have a seat.
Okay. We have just a few items just to let you know about. I'm actually going to be hosting our Women's Night Out for September, and I decided at the urging of my friend Cheryl Eaton, who's up there watching from Mexico, to change it up a little and copy Bonnie Swanson's idea of a potluck dinner at my home at Indian Springs Country Club. Bill will be banished to the office with the dog. And it's on Monday, September 9th at 6 p.m. There's an article in the weekly newsletter that you got on Friday listing some food suggestions. You can either RSVP by email to me and let me know that you're coming. And I need to send you directions because it's a little bit tricky your GPS will take you to a visitor-only gate, so I got to let you know how to get there. But I also put a sign-up sheet on the round table in the foyer, so if you want to leave, put your information on there, that's fine as well. Reminder from the Social Justice Committee. Food on the First is coming up next Sunday, September 1st. Please bring in non-perishable food items to share with our neighbors in the East Valley. You can leave them in the brown bin in the lobby. In honor and memory of our friend Jean Kane's late wife, Evelyn, Jean had Evie's novel published, and it is for sale on Amazon for about $17. But he has donated 10 copies for sale at $15, with all proceeds coming to UUCOD. It was a manuscript she wrote when they first started coming to the desert, and she just put it away to move on to her next creative project. Gene and his sons decided to have it published, and here's a teaser from the jacket. Half Jezebel and half Joan of Arc, Anna faces the challenges of farm life with a tyrannical father during the Great Depression. Anna steadfastly forges her way into adulthood with grit, dogged determination, and dignified grace. And for those among you that remember Evie, that was her. So Bill, my husband, will have a table out in the foyer for the first 10 people to come along with $15. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Water on Stone by Evelyn Kane. So if you'd like to buy a copy, and the proceeds will come directly to the church. Gratitude this morning for all of our people that make this service possible, and special, by the way. Our greeters, ushers, hospitality group, Joel Baker on the piano, the AV and production team, and all of you here in the sanctuary and at home, watching from the distance, and especially to our dear Reverend B.
Most welcome.
And now, we will extinguish, the chalice as Reverend Barber extinguishes. Thank you. Please recite along with me the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
There you go. It's been lovely. Thank you. You know, we create the service together. So, closing words, ones that I learned very early in my ministry. And the pronoun for the deity has evolved over time. In the Irish, it was, may God hold you in the hollow of his hands. I started to say, may God hold you in the hollow of her hands. But now it's, may God hold you in the hollow of their hands. Because what else? So may the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the rain fall soft upon your fields and the sun shine warm upon your face until we meet again. May God hold you in the hollow of their hand. So friends, stay fierce, stay tender, bring the love, keep the faith, be the peace, and bless everyone, no exceptions, include yourself. Thank you.